Greetings and welcome to the Old Patrol HQ Friday Update with my compa JJ Carroll. He graduated out of Border Patrol Class 339 and retired as the Deputy Patrol Agent in charge of the Newton Azraq Station at San Diego Sector. He's written an explosive new book, Invasion, The Intentional Destruction of America's Immigration System, and we're going to talk shit and tell you the truth about what's happening on our southern borders. Raw, unfiltered, and straight from the field. Come and take a listen.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. First of all, I guess we can wish a happy birthday to all my fellow jarheads out there. Crayon munching, magnificent bastards they are.
If I was to join the armed forces, I would go the Marines. So congratulations and happy birthday.
Well, thank you for that. There's a lot that we can talk about. First of all, welcome to the Old Patrol HQ podcast. You, even as famous and as infamous as you become, you still managed to carve out a day for us local yokels here, and I appreciate it. You given a fellow Border Patrol agent, that special favoritism.
Yeah, well, it's hard to find the truth, right?
Yeah,
and
it is.
I don't know if you've been watching Mayorkas's 2 congressional testimonies.
Hey, before you get started though, I would like to start out with an update, first of all, from the sales of your books, all the podcasts and stuff you've been doing, everything you've been putting together. Give us all just a quick update on JJ Carroll's progress behind all the invasion of America, the destruction of the American immigration system. Give us a little update about your progress.
Well, thanks for asking. I am, as you know, you started out, you're about 2 years ahead of me, 2 or 3 years, about 2 years ahead of me. So it takes a while to grow, right?
Yeah.
I got on a very high profile website called dailyclout.io, run by Dr. Naomi Wolf, who is leading the charge on everything against Pfizer, Moderna, and the vaccines and COVID.
Okay.
She put together, I would say, thousands of doctors across the world, and her and her website have become the leading experts. And I'm now a contributed writer on that website, and her husband is a former intel analyst tied to special forces in the Army, medically discharged, and then worked for the alphabet agencies as an intel analyst. And he and I have created a new podcast called Mostly Peaceful, Unrestricted, and it goes off the dailyclout.io and then gets put on Rumble. And we've only been doing, I want to say 6 weeks, and we already are surpassing 5,000 subscribers or hits every show, and it's growing exponentially. We do it every Monday and Thursday night from 7 Central to 9 Central at night, and it's going very well. My Substack's doing well. My book is, because I'm doing so many interviews now about the border, I'm getting incredible reach. So my book is selling multiple copies a day now, and it's catching on because everything I wrote in the book, Invaded, even though I sat down and wrote it all, kind of finalized all the chapters like in February, had my former publisher begin to edit it, and then the final writings, or just the thoughts, everything was there. It was just all spelling, grammatical, thought changes for better flow. That ended in May. So everything that I wrote in the book, Invaded, is happening right now. And what's interesting, and then some. I actually could sit down and write a new book now. That's how much has transpired. And it's interesting, Gil, is when I wrote this book, as I was writing it and editing it myself, I kept thinking, oh God, no one's going to believe this, right? This is so bizarre what I'm writing that they're going to call me a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're over analyzing, you're blowing it out of proportion. And now this book, it's not tame, but what I said was happening looks tame compared to what has transpired in the last 4 months, not 4 years or 4 decades.
No.
4 months. And it's been a whirlwind. You know, like I told you before, I got censored by my own publisher. And it's interesting, my old publisher, the things that they said, well, you can't say that. You can't say Mayorkas is a traitor. That's outrageous. Right after my book gets published and I have to take back my rights, that's all they say in congressional hearings.
Yeah.
You're a traitor. You're a Benedict Arnold, right? So everything that I said that was so outlandish has come true in spades. And what we're seeing now happen on the border, it's frightening, dude.
Well, that's the thing,
It's
right?
frightening.
As law enforcement officers, we like to pride ourselves in saying that we've seen it all.
No, we haven't.
And even now, there's even a discussion on certain Border Patrol social media pages talking about how, well, it was this bad back in the 1980s, and it was this bad. And, you know, I don't think they understand that, you know, every Border Patrol agent, law enforcement officer has had their own bad experiences, their own bad, you know, situations, their own bad time at work. But what's happening now is unprecedented in the history of this country, in the history of the patrol. By the sheer numbers alone, you cannot say that anybody has experienced this all-time record, historic mass releases and everything else. But let's get back to the topic you wanted to start out with. Mayorkas has been dragged back into the hearings for the umpteenth time,
Yes.
right? People want to say, well, he's incompetent. He doesn't know what's going on. He's you know, he just doesn't get it. He just doesn't, you know how this works. Explain to us the reality of what's going on here at these hearings.
Well, let's just, and you hit a perfect point that needs to be discussed. And I hear this from talking heads and people that interview me and ask me, well, Mayorkas, he just seems like he's incompetent. And I go, no. I wrote about a whole chapter of my book dedicated to him.
Yep.
People have this idea that Mayorkas, because he's so diminutive looking, right? He must be about 5'2". He's about 125 pounds, balding. He has skin problems, and he's very meek. That's a facade. This guy was education-wise, incredible schools, became the youngest U.S. attorney in history. The youngest U.S. attorney in history. Mm-hmm. He's an immigrant, naturalized immigrant from Cuba. First, the youngest U.S. attorney. Then he becomes the head of USCIS under Obama. Obama's second term becomes second in charge of DHS. What we're witnessing now under Biden was going to happen under Clinton.
Yeah.
And Mayorkas was going to just segue into the deputy's role. But that didn't happen. Thank God we got Trump. Now he got brought back. So this man has been in the belly of the beast for over a decade, man. Look, when everyone gets pissed off about DACA, Mayorkas created DACA. He not only created it, he implemented it.
Yep.
He created the false asylum, the false parole.
Yes.
So when you start to talk about Mayorkas, let's give credit and give him due credit, due respect that the guy's not an idiot. And when you watch him talk to congressmen and senators, he doesn't give a crap.
No.
He's like, yep, nope, that's not true. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
pound
exactly.
sand. And then he goes and does whatever he wants. And guess what drives me crazy? Those Republican senators and those congressmen are impotent, they're cowardice, and they're complicit because they do nothing outside of showing like this is theater, right? How about the only person that has a set of balls is Marjorie Taylor Greene? Yeah. That's it. The only person that's got a set of brass balls is a female in Congress. And so she just put him up for impeachment.
Impeachment, right. So you would agree with me when I say that most of the time he's smarter than the people that are trying to investigate and interview him. And secondly, he's just toying with them like a cat toys with its food.
Yes, because, okay, let's go back, Gil, when you and I started talking and doing a podcast, that's what, about 4 months ago, maybe even, was it May or June? So
I'm retired, so I can't tell.
I know. Yeah, I know. You're just drinking coffee and going to the beach. I hate you. So about 4 months. What has transpired in 4 months, Gil?
Yeah.
He's changed everything from 4 months ago. You and I, as horrible as 4 months ago, I would take 4 months ago than I would today.
Yes.
And this is what Mayorkas has done. He said, they've called him a Benedict Arnold and a traitor to his face. They've said, these are not my words. These are congressmen's words and senators.
Yes.
You are intentionally destroying America. You're doing this strategically. You are a traitor. And know what he does?
I know you are, but what am I?
Yep. And then he goes back to his office with all his org chart of traitors, and then they keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Look, the reason why I say that I'm frightened about this, and I'm really not frightened about much, is when I see these videos after video after video after video from way different sources, like left-wing sources, NBC, Gil, all of the people that are crossing, the vast majority, single adult military-age men that don't give a shit about anything. I'm
certainly
coming.
Not America.
You're not going to do anything about it, and we're going to be here. Okay, let me just. I don't want to hopscotch on you, but just think of this for a second.
All right.
I wrote about it in the book, and you and I have been saying this for the 4 months that we've been working together. There are terrorists in a nation by the thousands.
Yes.
And they are going to strike America. 4 months ago, people would hear us talk. I'd be on podcasts, interviews. I would watch senators and congressmen just mock people like me and you.
Yep.
Mock us. What do they all do now? They're all in lockstep, and they're saying the same thing. Yes, there's thousands of terrorists here. It's not even an argument about are they here. Now the argument is how many and how bad of a terrorist attack are we going to have? Think about that for a second.
Oh, yeah.
That's important, because when you look at 105,000 special interest aliens arrested and released in 2 years, that's what we know of. Now we're starting to find terrorists because of this Palestinian, Gaza, Israel war. So now terrorists are coming out of the woodwork. I think the guy was in Houston, 20-year-old Palestinian. Why are they not deported?
Well,
we know, because we have no ICE officers that can do our job.
Well, that's another thing, right? And that's the thing. What pisses me off the most about this whole thing, JJ, is the fact that people are talking like the crisis has just started. We've been at 1,026 days, and I'm not counting, of this Biden putrid administration. And we have been, the Border Patrol and DHS employees, POEs, have been underwater since the very first day. We have been completely overwhelmed, completely flooded, completely, devastated. Yet even Ortiz didn't start talking about it being a crisis till literally a month before he retired. And then these senators and people that are going up there to do these hearings are talking like all of a sudden it is a crisis. It is a problem. And this has been fomenting for 1,026 days. Are you kidding me right now?
Well, even something worse happened. I don't know if you caught it in the Senate grilling of Mayorkas 2 days ago. Senator Haggerty from Tennessee put behind, you know how they blow up memos, right?
Yeah.
And he caught Mayorkas. Mayorkas put in, I don't know the terminology, apologize, but he put in a request in a bill to be able to redirect funds and the mission of ICE. He was basically, or he's still trying to basically defund ICE, rebuild it into a travel agency where those ICE officers that were banging down doors, chasing people through the streets, arresting hard criminals, they're going to become a transportation unit.
Yeah.
That's what Mayorkas is trying to do, man.
And the majority of the Border Patrol. The majority of the Border Patrol at this point is simply a processing, an asylum, granting, a fraudulent asylum granting processing organization. Right now, you see these posts from the tweets and the posts from CBP, DHS, ICE. We're sending people back. We're enforcing Title VIII. But the way I see it, and the way I understand it, first of all, we got one piece of the closet of the house well protected, but the rest of the house is completely open and empty and getting ransacked
Yep.
daily, right?
Yep.
But we're bragging about the closet that we're putting together. And plus, I have it on good authority, JJ, that it's already been said that if we were to stop the illegal immigration flow 100% today, that even if we send all our agents back to the line, we now have such gaping holes and gaping security breaches that right now, unless we start doing something about them, are insurmountable.
Yes, of course they are. We had complete control of the border. We were within 9 months of having it completely shut down with Trump. And now there's no one there. And let's go back to what you said, which is very important and needs to be discussed, about agents today saying, well, this happened in the 80s and 90s. No, you're wrong. You don't know your history of the Border Patrol. Let's just look at a couple facts. I would say back then, 94% of everyone that we arrested that crossed the border back then was Mexican nationals.
Yep.
Why is that important? Because they're not terrorists and blowing stuff up.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, everyone that we arrested was not released. They were VR'd or deported. We didn't release anybody. So don't tell me that this happened before.
Yeah.
Never in the history of the Border Patrol have we had over 3 million people be arrested and then released, with another 3 to 6 million minimum abscond through the border.
Yeah.
We have never taken, and I said this yesterday in a podcast, I said, you got to understand, the border's wide open. It's never been like that. Even during our slimmest times, we would just stretch the responsibility out, meaning instead of when we were at the height of our population of Border Patrol, I would be responsible for 2 miles of the border. As we lose agents and we can't hire them, I would stretch out to 12, 15 miles of the desert of Arizona. But it was still manned, meaning I still patrolled it. I could tell you at the end of shift if anybody crossed and what happened to them.
Yep.
There was a group of 20. I can't find them. They absconded. They're golf. Okay. Now there's nobody there.
Correct.
So when people tell you, all the agents that might watch this, understand, we're not sitting here saying that we're better than you or you couldn't handle our times. Absolutely, you could do our job. However, do not fall into this myth that this is how it used to be.
Yeah.
Everything that's happened for the last 35 months of Joe Biden's presidency had never happened before in the history of America.
Correct.
So please spare me your idiocy. You know what I can't stand more than anything? I understand that this is your job and you're passionate about it, but with Border Patrol agents throughout my career, I would just say, if you're going to be ignorant, if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, then shut your effing mouth, because you sound like a moron. And if you don't know what's happening in your world of immigration, then you maybe need to become educated. Do something, do some self-improvement instead of sounding like a freaking moron.
Yeah, but the other side is out there saying, I just talked to this Border Patrol agent that worked back in the day, and he said it was just as bad back then. And then so they diminished the whole situation. Right? Mass releases, not even apprehensions, they're just give-ups, mass entries. And JJ, the problem is that every tier of DHS, CBP, and ICE is a leaking sieve. It's gotten so corrupted that they're, even recently ICE was bragging about arresting these abusers, right? Child abusers, whatever. And turns out they released them before. They didn't show up for their things, right? So it's like this thing is corrupt from every level now, and that is a well orchestrated plan, intentionally executed by Mayorkas for this administration. I don't even believe this administration, especially Biden, is pulling the strings here. He's gotten carte blanche to literally do whatever the hell he wants to this administration, to this immigration, to our immigration system, and in turn to the country, right? Because he's literally destroyed all these cities across the southern border, all these towns, all these cities on the north, in New York and Colorado are screaming bloody murder because they got a tiniest fraction of them.
Yep.
But they don't want to close the border, JJ. They just want more taxpayer money to fund the people that are in. you saw, I send you my update every day, right? And
Yep.
we were talking about the school system in New York. Well, they got 30,000 new kids at 30,000 apiece. It's almost $1 billion added extra. Before this happened, those teachers screamed bloody murder. We don't have enough funds. We don't have enough teachers. We don't have enough class time. Our classes are too big. But now a lot of them are out there saying, well, we welcome the diversity. We can handle this. It's no big deal, And so they would rather see America destroyed and the school system continue to be devastated than to go against their own identity politics and ideologies.
Of course, look at what mass illegal immigration does. We have and mass legal immigration.
Yes, because they're opening a bunch of others. They're granting a bunch of the legal stuff too, even above and beyond what they ever did before.
That's right, and they don't have the authority under the Constitution. And yet, the reason why they have that ability is the Congress is impotent. They're ignorant, impotent, and they're part of the problem.
And that's
the problem. But when you say, well, what is this illegal alien? I mean, there's so many avenues we can discuss about illegal immigration and how it destroys us. But let's just take one last Saturday.
Okay.
The march on Washington, D.C. Over 200,000 protesters. And that's just one protest. I'm not talking about the other hundreds across the nation. And what do these people do? The majority of them they're non-U.S. citizens, and they're waving foreign flags of Palestine and waving terrorist flags, and they're calling for the death of Jews and Christians. We allowed those savages into our country, and now we're shocked that they want to kill Jews and kill Christians.
And what's worse is that we're using American taxpayer dollars to train more future terrorists for them. We're literally turning our American kids into Palestinian terrorists because of what everything they've been taught in our finest supposedly colleges and universities.
Yep. Oh,
and that's the damnable thing about it. But you know what, JJ? I got good news for you. Okay.
What's that?
The vice president of the Cato Institute just came out and said that that this talk about terrorists being in our country and terrorists coming in and causing havoc and and destroying our country is all false, because we haven't had anything like that happen since 1975, JJ. So all this is just panic talk by the right, by conservatives, by Republicans. We haven't had an attack from a foreign entity like this infiltrating through the border since 1975.
That guy's a moron.
Oh my God!
Let me tell you about a conversation. What?
It takes your breath away. I mean, the utter a colossal ignorance. In other words, unless we see a terrorist attack happen, we shouldn't be worried.
Oh, of course. Well, I hope they blow him up first. I hope he gets annihilated. I had my co-host on my podcast named Brian O'Shea. Like I said, he's a former Army Special Forces intel analyst, right?
Yeah.
So he's been in the thick of it and understands. And I was sharing with him information I got from San Diego sector about one of the head ISIS recruiters went and jumped the border on Spooner's Mesa and was arrested, just sat down and squatted there. 3 weeks later, the secretary, basically the secretary general, you know how they have crazy terms, titles, secretary general or something of the Afghan army, like high ranking. 3 weeks later, jumped the same fence, same area in Spooner's, sat down on the same grassy knoll and waited. He's been released, and now he's NTA. Think of that. Just think of that. So those two men, I'm telling Brian about this, and he says to me, "Do you know, JJ? Do you know that the generals are always the last ones to come into the battlefield?" And I paused. I was like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Brian." He goes, "Yeah, because the soldiers are already here, JJ. Now they're bringing in the top brass to run it."
Well,
and I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
Yes. If we didn't need more confirmation, but that's the thing, right? So we, the Border Patrol, and supposedly DHS CBP back in 2002 or 4, right, was created to make sure a 9/11 didn't happen. And I still think that even within our ranks, JJ, retired and active, they still believe that somehow we're securing the border. We're managed to secure the border. Hundreds and hundreds of miles left unsecured, unmanned. The cartels have 100% control, and everybody said that. Every retired Border Patrol chief, the union, everybody has said that. And yet we want to sit here and pretend like this has happened before, that we've seen all this before. And that just boggles my mind that they can't accept the fact that right now, the way things are, we have never had such a border security breach. And I think it insults them inside. They're like, why, how can you say that the Border Patrol's allowing this? How can you say that our men and women who sacrifice every day are allowing this? Well, they're not the ones allowing it, right? But it's this administration, and primarily their attack dog Mayorkas and his policies. But all of a sudden now, JJ, it's almost becoming like normal to everybody.
Yes, they normalize the chaos.
Oh my God! Well, and you know what? We're good at that. We're good at Border Patrol has worked. I mean, I've read the update reports of the attorney generals back all the way back to 1925, 1926, 28. They all say we don't have enough funds, we don't have enough manpower, we don't have enough equipment to do this job right. So the Border Patrol has always done the impossible with the least. But unfortunately, it's screwing us over now, because now we have put the infrastructure in place, JJ, between and Mayorkas was happy to give us that. Like someone the other day said, well, you can't say Mayorkas hasn't done anything for us. I said, you're right. He's given us this infrastructure that is going to allow us to bring in 8 to 10 to 12,000 people per day, every day, as long as this administration is in office. And like you said, first of all, how does this end well for us, right? And when does this end? And there is no good answer for that.
No, there's not. And then the people that look, it's almost like they have Stockholm syndrome, right? Where they've been captured by the enemy and they've just been told over and over, you're doing great. Here's another 8-hour time off award. And you don't.
Yes, like yesterday. Just yesterday it happened. And you know what? I don't begrudge my fellow Border Patrol agents for, you take it, right? You take it, because you take whatever you can get. But they want to give credit to this. I mean, oh my God. I'm going to have to take my blood pressure medication after this, and I don't even have any. This colossal clown monstrosity, Jedi freaking Sith mind trick son of a bitch that just seems to have everybody around him just in a daze.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to ask the Border Patrol agents that are working, how are you protecting the border? How are you? You're in processing centers where you're driving out in vans to pick up people, and then after you do some quasi processing, you release them. How are you protecting the border? And they can't answer that, and they know it. And I understand that human nature to want to disconnect and not hear it, right? Not hear what's happening. But the Border Patrol now is part of a giant machine that is trying to destroy America. I'm not begrudging you for processing and just getting out there and getting ready for retirement. I understand that. I understand. I remember my last year as a Border Patrol agent, Deputy Patrol Agent in charge, and watching buses leave my station with illegal aliens that have COVID and lice and scabies and AIDS.
And tuberculosis,
I remember thinking,
and who knows what else.
Yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And as I was saying that to myself, I would look at my guys that work for me in my station, and I would think, damn, some of these guys got 15 years, 10 more years, 5 more years, another year.
Yeah.
How are they going to do this? I'm not doing it anymore. I'm punching out. And so I understand where you're at as an agent. Let's say you got 10 years in and you're like, I can't leave now. Dude, you're going to do a hard 10 years to retirement, because this ain't going to get better unless Trump comes into office and just literally turns it all on its head. Then you're going to have the greatest job in the world, because you're going to be shutting the border down, getting assigned to task forces with ICE, and ransacking these savages out of our nation.
Hell, they may even call a bunch of us back retired that can still do the job, and I'd gladly join that that force, you know. But the thing about it is, like you said, it isn't like back in the day when it was just Mexican nationals. We're dealing with, 170 different countries, hundreds of thousands now, and we admit to maybe 100,000 of special interest group aliens in here. This is a whole new ball game. This is a whole different thing, and the people think that they're going to see the army coming from without, but it's going to well up from within. And one day we're going to wake up, and we're going to be already surrounded. And if this administration or one like it gets elected again, JJ, the last thing we're going to have to be concerned about is the border. We're going to have to be concerned about freaking warfare on our streets.
Well, if someone from the Democratic Party wins or get another chance to steal the election, it's over. Like, there's no coming back, because let's just play this out. So we got another year of Biden.
Yeah.
So by the time Biden leaves office, I estimate about 25 million illegal aliens arrested, released, and absconded. And I believe I'm being very conservative. 25 million.
Agreed.
Let's double that. So another 4 years, let's double. That's 50 million. On top of right now, so they're claiming there's 50 million foreign-born nationals in America. So now, even if you don't count children being born and their allegiance, all that, now we're looking at roughly 90 to 100 million people in America that do not have legal residence. They're illegal aliens in our nation, or naturalized foreign-born nationals. That, as we see the Palestinian March, they don't have allegiance to America.
Yep.
So you have approximately 100 million. So by then that's going to be about a 1 in 3, 1 in 3.5. Every 3.5 people living in America, every one is a foreign-born national. We may stay the United States of America, but we will not be the same country prior to Biden.
Well, it's already, I mean, people don't want to admit it, JJ, but the basic structure of our country has already changed. Because what are we going to do? We're going to change everything throughout our entire society to accommodate this influx that has no end in sight until this next election. And who knows, even then, we're going to have to, I already see that the powers in place, including the Border Patrol, including DHS, I mean, even if Trump comes in, if someone like Trump came in and did everything we were supposed to do that we need to do, we now have $1 billion infrastructure, billions of dollars of infrastructure of being able, the Border Patrol could not process this many 10, 15, 20 years ago, but now we can. And now there's not going to be, JJ, 20, 30,000 people under a bridge, because from Ortiz on down, we have made sure that we have the process in place to move these people through, release them unvetted, release them unsecured. We don't know who the hell's going out there, criminals, and they're catching them later, much later, after they've already killed Americans. But that structure is now part of our infrastructure, part of our budget.
Yeah, the only thing that I could say that's positive about what they're doing is if someone like Trump, it has to be Trump, wins, and then we reverse the whole process. So now they become holding facilities as we export them out of our nation, right?
Yes.
No longer, we're going to utilize every available bed space we have, and we're going to have flights going nonstop, and we're deporting everyone. And then when we have the nation have scrubbed of all the illegal aliens, now if we get surges, you're going to everyone that then it becomes, if I was president, I have these giant holding facilities. Guess what happens? Number one, the military's on the border. We eminent domain, a quarter mile north from the border. Nobody crosses. And if you do cross, that first time you're going to jail for 30 days because I have the facilities now.
That is
the second time's 90 days. The third time you're going to spend a year in prison right in there. And it stops everything cold. So everything that Mayorkas, who is a traitor to America, everything they're building can be switched around to be a enforcement-minded apparatus.
Okay.
But it's going to take somebody like, look, the great news is Trump has already said, I'm coming back, I'm building the world's largest deportation force. Tom Homan has already had an article written. He wrote an article, and I saw an interview where he said, "I've already spoken to President Trump and said that I will come back out of retirement and work for him and run that deportation apparatus." That guy is a savage, just like me and you.
Yeah.
There's no shits given with him. In fact, if he could punch AOC in the face and people like that, he would, and he would sack her up too. So that's the type of dude. And I even said in a response tweet back, I said, "I'll work for that cat.
Yeah.
I'll come back out of retirement, run a unit, and I will be just like him. I'll be unapologetic and I will be vicious. If you're illegal, you're out." And just like I would tell the people in the field that would start crying to me, shut your pie hole. I don't give two shits about you or your life. Shut up, stop whining, get in the back of my car. You're a piece of nothing to me. And that's how we got to be. Get out of my country. And then we start a program that if I need a certain group of people, then we'll allow you to come in legally, and we will welcome you, and we'll give you all the protections under the Constitution that you deserve as a guest into our nation to work.
And that's
do
the
whatever
thing.
You're going to do.
So, people might think that you sound harsh saying what you just said, but we're not dealing with the innocent, run-of-the-mill Mexican national illegal back in 10, 15 years ago that literally did want to just cross and work and whatever, or the ones that have sacrificed 12 to 15 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this legally. We're not talking about those kind of people. The kind of people that are coming in right now are the kind of people that hate America, do not give a shit about America, want to sit on her lap just to slap her in the face. They take our benefits, they take our money, they take our capitalism, they take our work, but they don't give a shit two shits about our country.
But what about the legal immigrants? What about the people that spent thousands of dollars, years of their life trying to get in here legally, and they get here legally and they have to work on the lower economic ladder because that's just how it works out, and they're trying to rise up, but they can't rise up because we brought in 10 million people illegally, put them on parole with no work authorization. But they go out of status and become illegal aliens, and now they drive down the wage of every American, and in particular minorities and inner city African Americans and Hispanics, and destroy their ability to rise up the economic ladder. Nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to shit all over America and shit all over legal immigrants. Why are we allowing legal immigrants to be shit on, America to be punished because Mayorkas and his ilk hate America, want to fundamentally transform it through the Great Reset of the European Union, and they hate America? Why? Why do we allow a man that is a naturalized citizen from the communist nation of Cuba to run our immigration system? If he was like me and you and was enforcing law, great, I love you.
Yep.
But you're a Cuban national, former communist, naturalized in our community, and you're running our immigration and law enforcement operation as if you're back in fucking Cuba.
Yeah.
Let's just speak.
Exactly.
Let's just be honest, Gil.
No, that's
Can we just be honest?
That is the honest truth. Absolutely. It is the honest truth. And that's the thing. So we got this system now that's going to continue to funnel. And again, it seems like I have to keep saying this because people don't get thousands and thousands being released. And here's the thing too, JJ, our own DHS, CBP, and ICE, they post hourly how they're returning people. And I get the excuse on the back channels that, well, this is for the illegals that are watching our posts, that are reading our posts. This is for the illegals that follow DHS, CBP across the world. We're just telling them not to come because it's not worth it, and we're trying to get the message out. And it's like Americans are reading this, not the illegals. And Americans are starting to believing them when they say we are deporting everybody, we're enforcing Title VIII. So to me, it's the organizations that were here to protect us that are gaslighting Americans in the worst possible way. Just like Mayorkas sitting there, and he could still say with a straight face, the border is secure. No, I'm not releasing everybody, just willy-nilly. No, we're not doing any of that. I want to thank the fine men and women of the DHS CBP who work hard every day to protect our borders. God. And it's like it's a nonstop. But see, he doesn't have to. He doesn't fear them. He doesn't fear anybody because he's been literally given I mean, power is second only to the president, I think, now in this country.
Why should he be? He's not
Yeah.
fearful.
Yeah.
He doesn't care because he's got the backing of the president and all of those lunatic Democrats and the impotent Republicans that will just, I mean, just look what the Republicans did. Republicans, 70 of them voted for a new $30 million building for the FBI. The same FBI that has been monitoring them and destroying the Republican Party. Those morons, those jackasses gave them a $300 million to build a new facility so it could be bigger and better. Instead of tearing down the FBI, demoting or firing the top brass or forcing
the whole DOJ.
The whole DOJ. Everything is, we are in a weaponized law enforcement society now. And if you think they're not monitoring you, Gil, with your reach, you're a fool. They're monitoring everything you're doing.
That's why I tell the guys, don't post and don't, I know I have a following, but they can't be posting or sharing my stuff because they get immediately flagged, right? Immediately. But that's the thing. So, how do you fight against a machine that has as much taxpayer money available to them as they ever want? Gaslighting the American people. I mean, those arguments are being used against us now, right? Look, every day the chief and everybody else, they post all these enforcement trophy pictures of seizures and arrests. And we caught this perp today and this rapist today, but not realizing that 90% of the house is being literally ransacked and destroyed literally before our eyes. And we are helpless. We are completely helpless to do anything about. But I want to make this point with you. So your friend that Brian O'Shea, right? That's doing the podcast.
Yes.
You guys are doing the podcast. And I heard other guys speak. Another guy was on Joe Rogan the other day. And these are soldiers that have fought for our country. They're operators. They're special forces. They worked all these ops all around the world, and they're sounding the alarm. JJ, they're saying,
yes, they are.
No. I'm seeing here what I saw in these other countries, and it's going the same way. We have Texas DPS, sheriffs, everybody across the border saying this is monstrous. This is horrific. This is terrible, disgraceful, disgusting. But we have sector social media and DHS CBP saying, well, let me introduce you to agent so-and-so here for an agent profile. And he cooks dinner and he runs a little program and he plays with kids at the end of the day. And we are like this flowery, flower child, high on dope going, everything's fine. We're all okay. Yep. And everybody else is allowed to tell the truth about the border except them, and I just want to crawl out of my skin.
I know. And it's been that even when we were back in our days, you would listen to the PIOs talk and you're like, you rat bastards, you can't speak the truth, right? You can't call savages. You got to make it all like roses. Everything's fine. Well, no, not everything is fine. It wasn't fine when I was back in the late 90s working in Imperial Beach. It wasn't fine. It wasn't fine that everybody, we were losing bodies. And then when we shut it down because of Operation Gatekeeper, the INS was so guilty of treason and corruption that you wouldn't use the next 3 and 4 steps of Gatekeeper to go into National City, which is a crime-ridden cesspool, or San Ysidro, and eradicate the illegal aliens and gang members out of there because you were afraid. We dealt with the same thing back then, but nothing on the scale that's happening now. And again,
politically, we've had bad politicians trying to run the Border Patrol. We've had bad policy, bad presidents.
Yes.
We've seen that. That is a given.
Nothing like this though.
And we have seen, we've been betrayed many, many, many times over. Like you said, they'll bring in a program that says we're going to start at the border, we're going to move into the cities, and we're going to bring everybody out. And they never get, like you said, they never got to those steps. So yes, that stuff's been happening all this time, sure, but there was still a semblance of hey, even back in the day, Obama said the borders needed to be secured. Even back in the day, Chuck Schumer said it. Even back in the day,
Yep.
that witch Pelosi said
Hillary
it.
Clinton.
All those,
Yep.
Hillary Clinton, everybody was like, we got to have a secure border. Bill Clinton, no matter what else, we can talk about how we let people in or legally, whatever. That's one thing, but the border has to be secure. There was always that semblance of it. Now, none of that even exists.
No, none of it. And again, if you're a Border Patrol agent and you're listening, understand you're listening to two guys that have been there, done it, and have done their research and up to date research and numbers and exactly what's happening. Never has this been done in the history of America, in particular in the history of the Border Patrol. Never. Everything that you are doing has never been done before, and it's unconstitutional. It's illegal. I don't care, ADT and all that other bullshit you guys want to talk about, that they're taking Title VIII and they're expanding the detention space out, through states. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Nobody's checking in. Everyone that's being arrested and released, they're all turning into illegal aliens out of status. This has all been strategically designed.
Yes.
And you're, unfortunately, and I felt this way in my career, you're just a fucking pawn in a board game. And the powers to be are moving you on the board game. I felt it when I was in the Border Patrol, and I hated it, and I despised those people. But Mayorkas and Biden and his ilk make those people look like they're junior high.
Oh, not even. They're like
trying
toddlers.
to play against the NFL.
Yeah, they're like toddlers playing against the NFL, and that's the thing, right? So these guys, how is it, JJ? And this is the impression I get, and maybe I'm wrong. How is it that it seems like the Democrats in general, and then especially those are, I'll give you an example. So I see someone posting the other day about Pierre, right? The press secretary for the Biden.
Pierre,
yeah. And that she's ignorant and stupid and she's lying to the people. She is doing the exact job she was hired to do, and she's damn good at it.
Does anybody push back on her?
Gaslighting. Everything, because she can literally go up there just like Mayorkas with a smirk on her face, say whatever she wants. And if anybody dares, Pete Ducey or anybody dares to contradict her, she just browbeats them into submission, shuts them up, and then we get the post later on about how Ducey made her look stupid. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but everybody, America's being made to look stupid, not her. She's doing her job to perfection. Actually.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I know our time's getting short, and I just want to ask you this. Tell me what you think. 5 years. Let's just say things stay the same. Let's say 3 years. Tell me what you think happens in 3 years. Like, what's the manifestations of this unfettered illegal immigration? Millions. So 3 years from now, you're going to have easily 50 million illegal aliens in our country. 50 million. And I'm being conservative. Right now, they're saying about 30, 35 million. So 3 more years at 10 a year. So probably, let's just say 50 million. 50 million illegal aliens, about 20 million legal immigrants. So you're going to have about 75,000 non-citizens in our country. Tell me what you think transpires.
All right. Well, listen, your question goes through my mind every day. How does this turn out for us? What does this look like for us? 10, 15,000 illegals released into the country, hundreds of thousands more flown into the country, hundreds of thousands more monthly gotaways that we don't even know about. I used to think when people would talk about civil war, I'd say, come on, guys. America will never let that happen. We won't ever let that happen. If this continues the way it is, and this administration gets reelected, JJ, I pray that I'm wrong, but there's going to be civil war, not just for the illegal immigration part of it, but the inflation that's literally destroying us. We're saying, we're making more money now. Well, it's a wash. It's a complete wash. And in fact, I don't even know where they get their numbers. Right. But civil war is 100% possible now. I believe it now, and I am just beside myself that I would ever come to that conclusion. And I feel like, okay, I'm going to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't know what, but if this administration continues the way things are and what they're allowing to happen, it's going to be civil war.
I don't think that's a conspiracy theorist idea. I think it's called being a realist and looking at data and statistics and understanding that the who stands behind those data. It's illegal aliens, military age adult men. I believe we're going to see terrorist attacks within the next 3 years.
In a scope that makes 9/11 look like a firecracker event on the 4th of July.
Think of this, and my partner Brian said this, and is more articulate than I. Just like you're talking, I know who you're talking about. That was on Joe Rogan's show, and people like that are saying, no. Everything I saw in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Yemen, and Syria, that's here, guys. I'm seeing the signs of it. Think about how powerful it is. Let's say you and I played this game. There's 105,000 special interest aliens been allowed into our country in the last 2 years after FY 2023. At FY 2024, the first month, I can't even imagine how many. I think it's going to be closer to 7, 8, 10,000 special interest aliens just in the month of October. Okay. They're going to break, so let's just say we have 100,000. Let's say you and I are wrong. 99% of everything that we're saying is wrong, Gil. That means there's still 1,000 terrorists in our nation. Are you okay with me being 99% wrong and 1,000 terrorists in our nation? I'm not. It only took 19 to destroy America's economy. 19 flew into 2 World Trade Centers and destroyed it. Now, my buddy says, and I agree with him, you will not see a normal army where you have the old Britain, line them up, boys, and everyone's wearing fatigues. No, this is going to be broken down into small groups from 5 to 12 people, and they're going to have one mission. And they're not going to know. They have no idea what everyone else is doing. Just one mission. I'm going to the Mall of Americas. I'm going to the Capitol. I'm going to a train station in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm going to a movie theater in Louisiana. Okay, on this date at this time, you kill as many people as you can. You will see that. You are seeing Chinese nationals, soldiers coming into America. Military-age men that hate them. Okay, let's just say you and we're so off base. No one's going to do any terrorism. Explain to me, Gil, how, let's just use a round number. And this is grossly conservative. I'm just using this number as just an example. 1 million single adult military age men from 18 to 28 from Africa, Middle East, all over the world, China, and they don't speak a lick of English. Not a lick of English. 1 million of those men. And those men can't find jobs because they can't speak English. They're all out of status. They can't see the immigration judge to 2030.
Yeah.
And now they're tired. They're hungry. They're resentful. They're pissed off. And you're telling me I got to wash dishes for half of what that U.S. citizen's washing dishes? Yeah, go fuck off. And that's what they're going to do. So now you got 1 million pissed off, angry men that don't care about you, that have seen violence that you have only seen on your TV screens before you go to bed in your nice warm blankets.
Yes.
These men lived it. They lived it. They saw their family members butchered in front of them. They have partaken in the butchering. They have raped women without any recourse because Allah tells them it's okay.
Yeah.
Because they're the infidel.
Yes.
1 million. Now, what if I told you that million really represents about 10 million single adult military age men across America? How do you think this plays out, Gil?
Right. And that's the thing, right? So, and long before, JJ, we see those physical acts of violence out there, we're going to have cells, those particular cells, because I believe that not just these men are being brought in, but scientists, computer hackers, everything else. These Chinese people, guys that are coming in, can sit down and literally disrupt our entire social media, can disrupt our entire financial, can disrupt our medical system, all through computers. We're going to see a lot of that long before we see. We're going to be devastated as a nation. I mean, as soon as people can't log on to their Facebook for 2 weeks or a month, we're going to see violence probably from that, I'm sure. But this goes far beyond just a the obvious, right? The obvious mall shooter or whatever. This is going to be acts of terrorism done, you know, electronically, social media, through our phones, through that kind of thing before it gets to that, I believe.
Well, and if you don't want to believe, or you're too afraid to believe of what we're talking about with terrorism and computer hacking, then let's just talk about millions upon millions of people that are utterly dependent on the government welfare system.
Oh yeah.
Why is it okay that people that come across the border, we give them $2,200 a month, and there are people on fixed incomes on Social Security that don't get $2,200 a month, that have paid into the system for 30 years.
Average Social Security check, JJ, is $800. Average. Above
we're
average,
giving these 2,200.
Yeah, and if you have a husband and wife with kids, you're getting double that, and that's the thing. So a couple of things before we close. First of all, I want you to let us know before we close how we can follow you, get a hold of you, all your social media and everything else like that. But I had one final thought that I wanted to talk to you about before, and it freaking just slipped my old ass mind. Well, it was a good one, though. You would have loved it.
Drink some coffee and go to Carlsbad State Beach and enjoy your life.
I'm going to have to, honestly.
You have to go for a walk. I find that I have to leave and shut everything down, because I cannot. You can only take so much lies, and you can only take so many stupid people saying stupid things before you lose your mind.
No,
it's true.
That's absolutely right, and that's the thing. So there's only a handful of us out there trying to spread the word, say the word. Too many people still think that they can just rest comfortably and everything's just going to work itself out, and and whatever happens this next election, like you wonder, is it going to be fixed? Is it going to be, are our votes going to count? Do we tell people get out and vote? Because even if they do, are we going to wake up the next day? I mean, I'm thinking actually, if we both jump on and get ourselves some Dominion software, we could have 80 million followers by tomorrow morning.
You can, and you saw what happened in Pennsylvania again. Started flipping votes. Why are we? Look, that's a whole nother topic. But yes. Gil, you could see it's just like this terrorist thing. Everyone now is like, oh yeah, there's terrorists. Now, if you listen to the mainstream media, everybody doesn't even deny that the election was stolen. Now it's, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
We're better than you. We're more malicious. We have more evil intent than you.
Well, that's
and
just
you Republicans, you Christian Republicans, you're just soft. And we are soft because we have been taught lies about Jesus and God being very soft, hippie type people, and we become soft, hippie type people. We've allowed the left to destroy Christianity. We've allowed the left to destroy religion. We allow the left to destroy our Judeo-Christian values within our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and all of our founding documents.
That's right. That's right. So tell us how, get us connected.
Find me.
Yes.
Yeah, you can just go to jjcarroll.com, and there's a place where you can send me an email, or you just find me at info@jjcarroll.com. I'll put my email out there. You guys just, if you don't like what I say or believe, send me a message. But I will tell you this, all of your friends, your colleagues, they're all sending me messages every day, and they're telling me something completely different than what you soft, impotent Border Patrol agents that play along with Mayorkas and the PIO. They tell me something very, very different, from Texas all the way to California and the northern border. And
that's right.
They tell me something completely different.
Because you and I aren't putting out the information fit for public consumption or filtered by journalists. We put it straight out from the field, and people, I've had a few here and there tell me, well, you're wrong, you're dead wrong, you're not. Well, prove it. I'll set up. I know you can. We can set up our narrative against anybody in this country, and let's see where the truth lies. People, they even now, some people that work in headquarters DC are saying, I got to figure out how to counter and change his narrative because he's wrong. I'm like, I'm sitting right here. Come on.
You can find us. Come on, we'll have you on.
Yes, I mean,
and we won't even argue. We'll say, this is what I believe. Go. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Because I want them to talk, because they're liars.
Yes.
Everything they say is a house of cards. and then you and I could systematically destroy them, and they know that. They're not going to come on.
That's just it. Yeah. So we will put up our narrative, JJ, against anybody. And let's see where the truth, anybody in DHS, CBP, whoever you are, we will give you respect. We will give you time to talk. We will let you make your case. We'll ask questions to clarify what you're saying, and then let you destroy yourself in front of the whole country because the lies you're trying to foist, because you can't, that's why they can't even come out and attack me publicly or you publicly, because their narrative would literally fall to pieces in seconds.
Because if they do attack us personally, now it's opened the Pandora's box, right? In all of our social media, thousands, tens of thousands of people, and that exponentially reaches everyone because everyone's going to grab a hold of it. They're not going to attack me personally. They're not going to attack you because it opens the Pandora's box and now allows me to put my spotlight on their idiocy and their treason and their corruption and say, tell me I'm wrong. And that's what I say in all my interviews. If you don't like what I say or the way that I speak or the way that I look, but you agree that DHS has put out this information and I'm regurgitating DHS information, and if you don't think it's treason, then tell me what it is.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is. And I don't want to hear about diversity. Tell me why they're allowing this. And then there's just stone cold silence because the left on everything that they argue about is all surface level BS. Right. And then once you peel that onion back one layer, you're like, holy crap, everything's rotten to the core. Yeah. But guys, and I will say this, I'll pat myself on the back, but I will give you more credit because you started way ahead of me. It takes a lot of balls to get up and say what we're saying. So don't discount that we're just saying. We back it up. Everything that we say to you, I have data to back it up from DHS, not my data. Yeah. I can quote these people verbatim. They're not my words. They're their words.
JJ,
but you people that are listening that disagree with us, you are just cowards and you don't want to know the truth.
And they're only parroting what they hear. They're
parroting.
Right? And that's the thing. If you were to give every Border Patrol agent that's out in the field, every OFO officer, CBP officer, a chance to just tell the truth about what they see daily, just 5 minutes, 5 minutes of without retaliation, JJ, they would their narrative would be complete, so destroyed. Nobody would have any place to hide anymore behind tweets, behind these, rock video posts and all this nonsense. They would have no place to hide, but because they got this gag order on every single agent and out there, and they persecute and discipline everybody that speaks out, that's active. They can't speak out, so we have to do it, and we're going to continue to do it. And I'm going to go take my little hike. I'm going to go boogie boarding, and I'm going to swim, and I'm going to re-strengthen myself, and I'm going to come back just like you and hit it even harder the next time. We're not going to quit.
We owe it to our nation.
This is not normal. This is not right. It's not legal, and it ain't fair, JJ, what these people are doing to our country, to our legal immigrants, to legal immigration, to the values and everything that we established as a nation that makes people want to be us. People don't want to come to be us. They want to come to steal from us now, and that's the difference.
Yes, it is. Keep saying the truth and keep being unapologetic about it.
You too, brother, and thank you so much. And I demand that when you become so damn famous and popular and your pretty face is plastered all over, freaking the United States, you still give me my Friday mornings.
No, I'll forget you in a second. I'll just
I knew it.
Oh, no, we'll get there together. We're saying the same message. We're reaching the same people, and it's just the truth. And a lot of times people just don't want to hear the truth because it shatters their world of safety and complacency. But those days are over. The days are over of straddling the fence. Your country is changing in front of you. We're moral decline. There's sin rampant in our nation. You have to make a decision what team you're on.
And technically, this country went to civil war for a lot less than this.
Lot less than this. And then that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Because we're a racist country. We had 600,000 American citizens die to stop slavery, but we're a racist nation. While slavery permeates throughout the world now, except in the United States and the
government-sponsored slavery, but we'll save that one for another podcast.
Yes, another day. Thank you, Gil. Brother. Go get your boogie boarding. We'll talk later.
Have a great weekend, man. Take care.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
right.